If you enjoy hearing what goes on behind the scenes in the running of other people's businesses, stay tuned. I'm going to be sharing everything that I've been getting up to in my business and life between January and March 2023, so the first quarter of this year. Let's dive in. Hi there, welcome to the Wholehearted Business Show. I'm Laura. I help health, life and spiritual coaches get more clients so they can generate more income and live their most aligned life. And today on the show, I'm talking all about what I've been getting up to in my business for the first part of 2023, the first quarter, so from January to March. So I feel like I've got lots of stuff to share for this episode. So if you like behind the scenes stuff, it's probably going to be a slightly longer episode than normal. Stay tuned because I'm going to be sharing like loads of stuff. I've had lots of stuff going on, like in business and some stuff going on personally as well. I find doing these episodes of the show quite cathartic for me. It's just really nice it's a part of my process of reviewing what I've had going on, and hopefully it's useful for you guys as well to listen. And also to say, I also share all of my income numbers. At some point I will get organised enough to do like more of an income breakdown so that you can see what goes on. And I think it's really important for a few different reasons to share that, because I think we don't talk about money often enough. And often the only time that we hear about money is when people are talking about making 6-7 figures. I am not making that at the moment, but I still really think it's important to share my numbers, because if anything, it's a bit of a contrast to that, and it still shows that you can have an amazing business that fulfills lots of your needs without necessarily having to have like the big numbers. But anyway, we'll get into that. So things that I've been working on this year, things that have been going on. So I think the first thing that comes to mind is at the start of January, I was still welcoming new people onto my email list from Lizzie's Christmas party. So if you don't recall me talking about that at the start of the year, perhaps you're new to the show, my former business mentor, Elizabeth Goddard, runs a massive kind of bundle at Christmas, and I participated in that. I had a product in the free bundle and in the paid bundle. And I had quite a lot of people, about 1,000 people join my email list from that. So my email list was sitting around about the 3,000 mark, and it's jumped up to the 4,000 mark in the space of just over a month at the start of the year. So that was really exciting. That was actually like, to get to 4,000 subscribers was my 2023 email list goal. And I hit it in January. It's quite exciting and quite awesome. So that's been really cool, just to have that many new people on my list. And hopefully people have been enjoying being on my list and been enjoying being in my world. So that's been really cool, just having that big influx of new people. Alongside that, I also, and this kind of happened more recently, so in March, I did quite a big tidy up of my ConvertKit list. So I use ConvertKit for my email list, and I've been using ConvertKit now probably since 2017. I think probably around about that time I started using it, maybe even sooner than that. So I went from MailChimp to ConvertKit. It was one of the best moves I've ever made. And I love using ConvertKit. It works, like the functionality is amazing for me and the way that my business is run. But it had become a little bit of a mess in there. And I did a really big tidy up alongside my VA Gem. We did a really big tidy up, and that was quite a big project. So there's been a couple of like admin-y style projects and stuff going on in the background. And that's part of every business. It's not all launches, it's not all selling. Like sometimes there's just things that you need to do that help your business function better and help you serve your customers better and your clients better, and it just needs to be done. And that was one of them. So a big tidy up of ConvertKit, and then what I'll be doing moving into the next kind of season is I'll be doing a list clean. So I'll report back on the list clean, which is basically, for anyone who doesn't know what a list clean is, it's basically removing subscribers who never open your emails to improve your deliverability. So that's something I'll be working on soon. And then another admin type task that we did in February was I moved all of my courses and programs from Teachable to Thrive Learn. So I've got a bit of stuff to say about this one, but basically Teachable massively increased their prices with very little notice. And although I could probably have absorbed the cost of that, it just really fucked me off the way that they did it. And I think it was just really poor customer service, to be quite honest. And I was like, actually, I've got Thrive Learn. So I purchased Thrive Cart, which is a one payment system that you use, and you pay for it once. You get, it depending on what level you get the cart, the online cart, which is one of the best online cart systems I think going in terms of like conversions and things that you can do with it. And it also now comes with its own learning platform called Thrive Learn. Now, I really love Teachable. I think Teachable is a great platform for hosting courses on. But like I say, the cost, like it went up by over 50% with about a month's notice. And I just think the way that they did it was really rubbish. And it was just the right time, I think, to not have that like over $150 monthly expense in my expenses, and it was just the right time. So we moved everyone over. I hope anyone listening, watching the show who is in any of my courses found the move okay. We don't seem to have had any major issues with it from what I can tell. Like I said, my VA led on the actual moving of people over and she did a fantastic job. So we are now all officially on Thrive Learn. So that's an awesome platform as well. Really love having my stuff on there, but that was a really massive admin task that we had to do as well. And then other things that I have done since January 2023, I raised the price on Wholehearted Business. So I think that's one of the things that I did fairly early in January, I think, looking back, is I raised the price and did some promotion around that, and that brought in some new people into Wholehearted Business. Some people like not actually completely separate to the price rise, I think. And I've just had, honestly, I just have the most fantastic clients. I really do. Every time I get like a new inquiry, like it's just, I get the most interesting, wonderful clients. So I've had some really awesome clients join me in Wholehearted Business, and that's been wonderful. And then Wholehearted Business is doing its thing, and it's just awesome. And it's really exciting to see what everyone is achieving in that program, and it's just amazing. So I did a little bit of promotion around that at the start of the year. And then I also, towards the end of January, I launched Content Marketing for Coaches Club. So Content Marketing for Coaches Club was a bit of an idea that came to me when I was doing my kind of 2023 planning in December. And it felt like a bit of a weird one for me because I've talked quite publicly about how I hate memberships and how I would never run another membership. And then all of a sudden I had this idea to run a membership. And it just came together really naturally. I was actually talking to a client last night about how when you have a lot of products, what started to happen was I noticed I've got these products. I've got Blog School, I've got Pinterest Magic, I've got how to create a multi-platform content show, which teaches you how to create a show like the Wholehearted Business Show. And I had all those products, and actually just made sense to link all of this stuff up. And my approach to creating content, which is not seeing your social media as the main place that you do that, just seems to really make sense. And I think a lot of people have been really interested in how to grow their businesses without social media, and the Content Marketing for Coaches Club really fits the bill when it comes to that. It's creating content, but it's not primarily for social media. So it was just such a fun thing to put together. I've really enjoyed creating the resources for that. I've really enjoyed holding the calls. It's just been awesome. I had a target to get about £500 a month of recurring income from that, and I hit that target. I went over that target. So that's been awesome. I got a lovely good number of people into the club at the start, and now going into the next season, what I'll be doing is creating some systems around kind of having that on more of an evergreen basis, so that there's more systems in place that kind of put Content Marketing for Coaches Club in front of people at different stages when they come into my world. So it's been really fun to put that together, really fun to deliver on. It met all of my goals, and I came into 2023 wanting to create more recurring income systems in my business. Now, I did an episode all about how to create recurring income in your business. I will link to that above, and I'll link to that in the description. And what I say in that is it's your marketing that has to drive things. You can set up as many memberships as you like, but if you haven't got the marketing behind that, then it's not going to do anything. So my next kind of thing is really looking a bit more in depth at the marketing side of things and what needs to shift and change there to bring more people into offers that I have available, so that can just do its thing, which is pretty exciting. Yeah, so we had a price rise for Wholehearted Business. I created and launched Content Marketing for Coaches Club, and that was like January, towards the end of January. And then in February, I think was mainly just this big like tech switch over for Thrive Learn, from going from Teachable to Thrive Learn. And then going into March, the big thing that I've obviously been talking about recently on the podcast is increasing my price for my one-to-one coaching and mentoring. So I've had a couple of price increases at the start of the year, and I really felt like it was just time. I just feel like I'm at that place in my business where I should actually be charging what I've increasing the prices to, basically. So it just felt like a gut feeling that this was the right time to shift those prices. So that's been great. I have done lots of discovery calls in March with lots of amazing people. I've signed some new clients. Some people are still making their decision as I record this. And it's all just been really wonderful. It's been nice to talk about that because it's something that I don't talk about a lot, in all honesty, is my one-to-one coaching. It sits there. People find it and then get in touch. So it's been really nice to actually talk a bit more about what I do in that program and talk about my one-to-one services. So that's been pretty awesome as well. So that's been the key things that I've done in the business this, like the first quarter of the year. And I wanted to talk a little bit about just some of the lessons that I've learned. And there's been some really interesting shifts have been coming up for me lately. I feel like it really has been quite an intense start to the year. I just feel like there's been a lot of stuff that's happened that is really, like, from a mindset and from an energetic point of view, there's been quite a few things that have happened. So something that happened that I find really interesting is that I've had a few people purchase some of my products who are people that I follow and really look up to. And when I see their name that they purchased something, like, it's brought some stuff up in terms of, shit, is this good enough? Oh my God, like this person who I really respect, who I love, whose things that I've bought their things and it's, oh my gosh, like they have bought my stuff. And usually the initial reaction is, oh my God, is this good enough? Is the course good enough? Does it not need reviewing? Does it not need this and this? And that kind of panicky feeling almost. So that's been really interesting to notice that, but also just the fact that people that I know are buying my stuff. Like, how cool is that? Like, online people that I know. And I'm delighted at, like, anyone who buys my stuff. But there is something particular, I think, about people that perhaps you followed for a long time online who you see their name pop up, that they've bought something that you offer. And it's just really exciting. And I just really hope that they have enjoyed the thing that they've bought. And I think what it's made me realise as well is that when is something good enough to be put out into the world? And I think I don't release anything, I don't launch anything that I don't feel is good enough at the time. But then what tends to happen is over time, I think, like, I really need to go back to that and I need to review it and make it better. And I feel that way about quite a lot of my stuff at the moment. A lot of the things that I've got for sale right now were created like 2021, which isn't that far away. And it's still really good stuff, but I'm feeling that niggle now to go back and to improve and just review everything and make sure that I'm really happy with everything that I've got for sale, to make sure that it meets the standards that I've got for myself. But also I need to be really careful about perfectionism and just knowing that this stuff is good enough. It's out there, it's good enough. It is what it is. But also to give myself that space to do that reviewing process. So I will be doing that at some point as well. So that's been quite an interesting learning. Just the mindset stuff that has come up around that, seeing some of those names pop up in my emails as like Thrivecart notifications. It's, that's made me feel weird, but in a really good way. And I also had someone give me some really nice feedback. She was tagging me in her group quite a bit. And she was like, hope you don't mind me tagging you, but like you exist in this space in my head that is for like, that does this and this. And I was like, that's so amazing, because that's exactly what I want to be known for. And I love that you're tagging me, and that's perfect. And that was just helpful in terms of I'm doing something right. People are getting what I'm about. People are understanding what it is that I'm about and getting my vibe and everything. So that was really cool as well. So that's been awesome. Just those things in themselves has been really fun. But I also feel like there's just been this general shift, I think, in how I feel about myself in my business. It's a really difficult to describe shift, and I don't know if part of this is like linked to the price increase a little bit as well, around the confidence that I have and around feeling like, I feel like it's a really tricky one to explain. I just feel like I've arrived. I know that sounds weird. I feel like I've arrived, like I'm here. People know me for what I do. I've got 70 odd episodes of this show under my belt now. Like, I know my shit. I'm here doing it. I'm here showing up, and that's really cool. I do need to say though, actually, that it's just popped into my head, as I've been saying, I've had a massive mindset shift. I feel amazing. Everything's awesome. At the start of the year, I had a huge wobble about like running the business, and I don't necessarily know where it came from, but just right at the very start of January, I just had this really big business wobble, and I was a bit like, do I want to still do this anymore? Is this what I want to be doing? What does my future look like running this business? And like all of these questions, and even to the point where I looked at an application for a job that was something at the council that I could do pretty much standing on my head. And for a second, and literally for like about 3 hours, this is really funny, for like 3 hours, I was really thinking seriously about it. And I was talking to James about it, and I was getting myself upset and stuff. And then literally, like, I came into the office, I sat down, I journaled, I looked at figures, I just literally spent half an hour, and I was like, what the fuck are you on about, Laura? Come on. And I just had this like really weird wobble. And I share that because I honestly think it's normal, and I think you can have the most successful business in the world and be doing all the right things and still sometimes have these kind of weird wobbles. And that's exactly what it was. I just needed that little wobble to come out. It was really strange. Like, I literally just had the wobble, downloaded the application form for this job, took one look at it and was like, hell no, I can't work. I cannot be employed by anyone ever again. I can't do that. And then did some journaling, got my head sorted, and I was fine. But I really wanted to share that because it is such a normal part, I think, of running a business, that sometimes you have these crazy wobbles, and it's how you handle that and bounce back, I think, that is what makes the difference ultimately as to whether or not your business continues and is successful over the long term as well. Another thing that I actually did as well this quarter that I totally forgot to mention was I ran a retreat with my good friend Jo. That was the third retreat that we've ran together, and it was wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed running that retreat, getting back into like my health coaching kind of shoes, and it was just brilliant. So that was a big highlight of February actually that I forgot to mention earlier, but that was amazing too. And then just to share, before I talk a bit about some personal stuff that I've had going on as well, just wanted to share some income numbers. So for January, I made £5,300, which is about $6,500 in January. That's one of the best Januaries that I've had in quite a while. And then in February, I made £4,689, which is about $5,788. I am looking down at my phone to check. And then at the moment for March, I'm not quite at the end of March as I record this. I'm looking to be at about £4,500, which is roughly $5,550-ish. So that's where my income numbers are. I'm really happy with that. Often in March, I've done a big promotion for Wholehearted Business, which has often ended up being a 10k month. So March is lower than I've had previous Marches, but February and January are higher than what I've had in the past as well. And one of my goals has always been like hitting consistent 5k months. So I feel like I'm really close. The end of March might end up being different. I feel like there's lots of stuff getting lined up for the rest of the year and the next quarter, which is really cool. But I'm really happy with those numbers. Like, for me, I just want to make sure that my business is sustainable. So we'll see how it goes for the rest of this month. For March, that might actually end up being higher. I'll put up-to-date figures in the blog post, and if I can, I will pull out some expenses and things like that as well, just so that you can see the kind of full width of it. Because this is the thing, like, you can talk about income all day long, but actually what matters is the profit and what's left over after you've paid your expenses. And to be fair, I mean, my regular ongoing expenses, I think, are about £600-ish, I think. And that's like all of my tech, my VA, my accountant. I think it's about £600 a month that I pay. Another thing that I did, because I think I did this in January as well, actually, that I've just remembered connected with finances, is I opened a Wise US dollar account. So what had been happening was that I was taking payments in dollars, and then that was getting converted into pounds and then put in my bank account. Now that conversion and the fees is not very, it's not very efficient basically. And I was paying out for a lot of tech in dollars, and my rubbish Lloyd's bank account was charging me a small fortune every time that I paid something in dollars. I opened a Wise account, I linked that to my Stripe. So now all of my USD payments go out of the dollar account in Wise, and all of my US dollar payments that come in all go into my Wise account via Stripe. So it just works brilliantly well. I think I did that in January. One of the best things that I've set up for my business, just in terms of that little bit more efficiency. So I always keep a balance in dollars. I think this was probably prompted by the fact that the pound was like all over the place. It just means that I've got that stability, because I do charge for quite a lot of things in dollars. I do have an international audience, so it makes a lot of sense for me to have that. So that was a really cool thing that went on behind the scenes as well. And then just to share a couple of like more kind of personal things that I've had going on as well. So one of the things that, and this is connected to business too, but something that I started doing since January was I have been planning slightly differently to how I used to plan. So I used to plan for my business and life in like quarters, but I've actually changed doing that. And how I'm planning now is planning in these kind of 5 to kind of 7 week stints that, funnily enough, align quite closely to the wheel of the year. You've got Yule in block, you've got spring equinox, which we're at now. We've got the wheel of the year. So that splits the year into 8, but it also nicely aligns a little bit with the school holidays. As you guys know, I'm a mum. My life often has to have a pattern around what's going on with school holidays. I want to be off for school holidays as much as I can be. So planning in these kind of like little stints. And like I say, I like to align them with the wheel of the year slightly, because that feels like I'm really rooting into the season, and it just feels really good, even if they don't line up perfectly. So that's been really awesome to plan in these kind of like shorter spaces of time. And what I found from doing that is that I'm much more realistic about what I feel that I can achieve. Like that 6 weeks-ish kind of stint feels much more realistic. It feels like a more tangible period of time for me to work with. It means that I can set like more realistic goals, like I've said. It just feels better for me for some reason. And because I really enjoy the process of planning, I'm planning more often. It just feels like at the rate at which things change for me, the way that I live my life with the kids and school, it just feels so much better. And there's been 2 kind of mini seasons in that first quarter, if you like. That just feels like it's worked really well for me in terms of getting stuff done, feeling really excited about plans, those plans not being too set in stone for too long ahead. Like, it's just worked really well. If anyone wants to know more about that, let me know. But there's something, if you've got kids that are in school and you've got kind of term time stuff going on, that's something that could be worth exploring, and it's worked really well for me. I've found it's made a massive difference, and it's just been really cool. And then finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about my kind of health and well-being. So I'm going to just put in a little trigger warning here. I am going to be talking about weight. I am going to be talking about all of that, like food, exercise stuff. If that's something that you don't want to listen to, like, this is a great time to turn off the show and go. That's absolutely fine. But I want to talk about it because it's been a really big part of my journey, not just like recently, but obviously going way back. I'm originally a health coach, and it's been quite a significant thing that I've been working on. So if you don't want to hear like weight numbers and things like that, then this is a good time to switch off. But if you're happy to continue, then please do continue. So I've spoken about my health and well-being quite frequently when I've been doing these behind the scenes episodes of the show. And I talked about how last year, like, I was really in a really good groove with everything that I was doing, and then things fell off a little bit for lots of different reasons. But I started the year with a renewed amount of focus, and I've really had such a big shift, I think, around the things that I do to support my health and well-being since January. It's been a really massive shift. So just to give people just to give you guys a bit of a brief background. So struggled with my weight all the way through, like literally from being 7 years old is the first time I can remember it being a thing. And honestly, it breaks my heart. That was a thing that I had to deal with from being so young. But that's led me to where I am today in many ways. So all the way through, like, my life, it's always been an issue. And then I got married at like one of the highest weights that I'd ever been. When I got married, I was one of my highest weights. And then not long after I got married, I started a health and wellbeing journey, and I started to lose weight. And around about the same time, I started to blog. And then that journey was covered through the blog. And unfortunately, I also developed an eating disorder. I had orthorexia, which led to me becoming like underweight for my body, which led to my period stopping, which led to me having fertility issues, which led to me having to use fertility treatment to get pregnant with my little boy. And that all happened 9 years ago. And thus I had to gain weight in order to get pregnant with Finley. And that was like 2013 going into 2014 when I gave birth to him. And ever since that point, really, I've just found it really difficult to have a sustainable, ongoing health and wellbeing routine for lots and lots of different reasons. For lack of sleep, for just being a new mum, for having other like health concerns that I've had to deal with, like all sorts of different reasons. I've really struggled with it. And it finally feels like at the age of 40 that it feels like, and obviously it's only been a few months, so I'm not going to get on my high horse because things could change very quickly. I feel like I've just found a groove that is working, and it feels sustainable, and it feels different this time, certainly to any other times that I've done it over the last few years. I'm really enjoying it so much. There's no punishment in there. It just feels really good fun. So basically since the start of last year, so I go back to January 2022 when I first started a new journey of really wanting to focus on myself, I've lost 2 stone since, and this is obviously over a long period of time, so since January 2022. That feels, although like the weight isn't the most important thing, it has been helpful to see that shift because that motivates me to see that shift. But I just feel like so much better. Like I work out 4 times a week. I really enjoy my workouts. I'm doing more strength training. I do my Peloton workouts and I love all the music. I'm eating to just have energy and to fuel myself and eating food that feels really good. I'm not restricting myself. I'm still going out and having meals out and having drinks out and living my life. And it just feels like there's been a significant shift. And I just want to celebrate that for myself. Like, I know that there's all sorts of stuff that come into this. Now, I have been very aware of how diet mentality and diet culture and all of this kind of stuff seeps in and how it can make you feel bad about yourself, and when you're sat there in the mirror looking at your hip dips and things like that, having that awareness of being able to resist it. But like, I'm 40 years old now. I've been through a hell of a massive journey when it comes to my health and well-being. I feel really confident that I can manage a lot of that stuff, and it's just been amazing. Like, it really has been amazing. I feel so much better in myself. I feel so much stronger physically. I've not been sick. So like, before Christmas, I just felt like I was getting sick all the time. I've been sick once. I've had a mild head cold once since January. Like, usually I would have had about 3 of them at least, if not more. Like, I've just been so much healthier and felt so much more energized, and there's just been this massive shift. So I am just celebrating that for myself and just noticing. I think part of it as well as just being like, I turned 40 last year. I want to go into this decade of my life being the best, sound like a Peloton instructor, to be the best version of myself going into this decade of my life. I want to feel fit and healthy. I want to feel good in my body, like just feeling good existing in this body. And like I say, this really started January last year. I lost some weight last year and then gained a little bit back, and then this year I've lost some more. But it's just been a really exciting journey, and I'm just really happy to continue with that and to keep getting stronger and keep feeling healthier and all of that stuff. So I wanted to share it because it is like a big part of my life right now in terms of doing it and just prioritizing the time to do it, in amongst running a business and having kids. Like, that was something I struggled with for a long time, was like really prioritizing myself. But the switch in terms of seeing this as a non-negotiable part of what I do now has been really important. So it's been amazing. It feels there's an inevitability about things now when it comes to my health and well-being. Like, it feels like I've found something that really feels sustainable over a really long period of time. I hope I'm not going to be back at the next behind the scenes episode of the show saying, yeah, everything's been really difficult. But I feel like I found something that I can keep up with. So we shall see how it goes. But I'm just really excited about that. It's felt like such a win for me. After so many years of really struggling to put myself first and to find a routine that works for me, I feel like I found it finally. So I'm really happy about that. So there we have it. I think that is pretty much everything that I've had going on this kind of start of the year. Like I said, I just feel like there's been like an internal shift in me, definitely since I turned 40, I think, for some reason, but certainly going into this year, there's been that internal shift that I can't quite describe, but that is allowing me to show up in different ways with more confidence and just feeling much, much better in myself. So I hope that's been helpful. I really hope that is giving you some insight into some of the behind the scenes stuff that goes on in my business. As always, let me know if this has been helpful. If anything has resonated with you, please do let me know. I really appreciate it when people get in touch. If you're watching on YouTube, please give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. That would be amazing. And I will see you next week, guys. Take care. Bye.